Welcome to Behind the Wheel, a District 7505 video series. And yes, I know the district is in a little bit of transition, but for now, we're going to go with District 7505. My name is Pete Berthaud, and I'm a member of the Marlton Club, and you guys are here with us at our bi-weekly meetings that we do at the Indian Springs Country Club. Marco's is the restaurant that's hosting us right now, and we're grateful to be here. Chuck, my current president, is going to introduce Tabatha and tell you a little bit about what we're going to do tonight.
Hi, I'm Chuck Childers, current president of the Marlton Rotary. I'm here to introduce Tabatha Dalponte from the Tri-County Rotary. She is our Rotary Youth Exchange coordinator for District 7505. She's here to speak about the program and give us a little education on how the program works. Tabatha, take it away. Thanks.
Thank you. I'm our district chair for Youth Exchange, and I also oversee Outbounds, volunteering on the committee. I will say we have a committee of about 10 people from across our district, spanning from Brick Township to Cape May, New Jersey, who all come together outside of their typical club meetings to volunteer with Youth Exchange. Just by a raise of hands, how many of you have heard of Youth Exchange or are somewhat familiar with it maybe? Okay, good, a good amount. Well, one of my goals this year was to visit the Rotary clubs to share more about the program so that the local high schools could have the info, and as well as the clubs. So basically what it is a local Rotary club sponsors a high school student to spend an academic year abroad. Right now we have about 40 countries that participate, and in exchange that Rotary club receives an inbound student. So for every student we send out, we also take in. Each year we have applications in November. So if students are interested, they need to know by that November date. They'll interview with the exchange committee first. And then if we feel that they're a good fit for Youth Exchange, we'll call you guys and say, hey, we have a kid from Cherokee High School. They're interested in going outbound. Could they come and speak to your club and share what they want to do and ask for sponsorship? So that's usually around November, December. They'd come to your club, they'd speak. If you guys are on board, you'd sign a piece of paper and they're good to go for going abroad. And then the inbound student, they would come that following end of August, and they'd be here for the full year. They would attend a monthly meeting with the Marlton Rotary Club. They do receive a stipend, so that's part of the financial commitment through the club. They receive a stipend. It's $100 from September to June, and that helps with offset spending costs if they want to go to the movies with their friends or anything like that. And usually the students, they stay with 1 to 3 families for the year. So usually the Rotary Club works with that outbound student at the high school, the surrounding area, to find those families. And we need one before the student gets here, obviously. A lot of times the students that come, they sell themselves. We have our student Mila from Finland. She came August. She stayed with her first family. Second family ended up being someone from the Rotary Club that just loved on her and wanted to host her. And her third family actually is the family of a young girl that she babysits. So, they wanted to host her that way. Through my experience, I went abroad in 2017 to 2018 to Brazil. Through Rotary Youth Exchange, I was sponsored by the Hamilton Rotary Club. And it really was a life-changing year, and that's why I'm so excited to get involved and give back to this program. For me, it really started with Interact. So, there was a YMCA in Vineland that a couple high schools got together for Interact, and through that, a couple of us started an Interact club at Buena Regional High School, and I got to go to RILA. And when I was at RILA, they had a night, international night on Youth Exchange, and past alumni came back and talked about their experience abroad. And I remember after that weekend, I went to my dad. I said, Dad, there's this program. I can go abroad for a high school year in another country. Can I please do it? And he said, absolutely not. Like, no way, not happening. So no exaggeration, I literally did ask him probably like 20 times until he finally said yes, that I could go. And so I went, and I was really worried going to Brazil because I was pretty shy at the time in high school. And when I thought of Brazil, I'm thinking like outgoing, friendly, super social, extroverted. And so luckily for me, I had just finished watching Jim Carrey's movie, The Yes Man, if anybody's seen that. But basically, he's this disgruntled old man. He says no to everything, and then he has this condition one day where he's forced to say yes to everything. And by the end of the movie, he has a ton of friends and life experiences. And so I don't know if you guys have ever stuck to a New Year's resolution. The only time that I did was my year in Brazil, and my goal was to be Jim Carrey from The Yes Man. So I got there, and if I was nervous at school, I went up to friends and said, "Hi, my name's Tabatha. I'm an exchange student. I'm trying to, meet new people." And one of the really cool things I got to do while I was down there, my goal was to push myself out of my comfort zone as much as I could. And I think for our youth that do participate in this, that's really the reward of it. They go abroad and they come back completely different people, much more confident. And I thought to myself, I'm really nervous with dancing. Like you think like prom, semi, things like that. So I went to a dance studio down there 3 nights a week, 3 hours a night, and I learned to dance forró, zouk, brega, lambada, reggae, samba, salsa, bachata, bolero, and a couple other styles. I came back fluent in Portuguese, so while I was there, I got to read 5 books in Portuguese. Every word I didn't know, I translated into flashcards. And by the end of the year, my Uber driver was asking me what part of Brazil I was from. I had to do a presentation on the menstrual cycle in Portuguese, so I'd say that's pretty fluent. And the best part of my year really was just gaining a second family in Brazil. I have people there I call mom, dad, sister. But that really, to me, is the cool part about this program. I've been able to travel a lot since. I've been to about 15 countries. I did a study abroad in Spain in college, and no experience is like a Rotary Youth Exchange year. It's being a youth, right? You're someone's son or daughter in their home, and I think that really makes it such a special experience where you really get to become part of the family and immerse yourself in the culture. Another cool thing for our students that participate in this program is that you get to meet other exchange students while you're traveling. So this jacket represents all the exchange students that I've been able to meet through my exchange year. We have a student abroad right now in Bolivia exchanging Jersey Devil pins. And one of my favorites is this one. It's a beach tag from Peter. He's from Ocean City. So hopefully they gave him a discount and he put his name on a couple of those and exchanged them abroad. So I'll say where we're at as a district. I went abroad 2017, 2018. When I came back, South Jersey and Central Jersey were merging at that time, and Central didn't have an active youth exchange program. So they decided to cut the program, put it on pause for a couple years, and then COVID happened, so we were out of commission for another couple years. So this is really the first year that we have outbounds. We have 4 students who are currently abroad, all in Latin America, having a wonderful year. We have 2 students that are going out next year. And I'll say the most as a district that we've ever sent and received in exchange is 11. And one of our students, Connor, he's going abroad next year to Taiwan. Taiwan, as small as it is, it's divided into 4 districts, and each district has 50 exchange students. So if you can imagine the magnitude of them, having 200 students. My goal is really to grow the program. We have a lot of work to do to kind of resurrect it after COVID and the merger. We don't have a list anywhere of past exchange students from Marlton or host families. I tell our students before they go, it's not a travel program, right? You're not going to take a picture next to the Eiffel Tower and come back. You're going to learn the language, the culture, and really to be an ambassador of your country. You might be going abroad and you might be the only American that they've ever met, and so you're representing that. I'll tell you, our student who's currently abroad in Bolivia, Steph, before she left, she goes to the high school that I work at. I remember her history teacher found out she was going to Bolivia, and I was 5 rooms down and just heard her in the hallway. "Oh my goodness, I can't believe they're sending her there. It's so dangerous. Why are we allowing her to do this?" And, I told Steph, imagine the impact that you're going to have spending a full academic year in Brazil when you can come back and speak to your experience and all the people that you've met there and what it was like to live there and how welcomed you were received, how much that could change the stereotypes and the perspectives that maybe some people have. I do have a little excerpt that I wanted to read. Usually I bring a book, but I forgot it at home, so my fiance sent me a picture. So this is part of a book that we have our outbound exchange students read before they go abroad. And to me, it really just encapsulates the purpose of why we participate in this program as Rotary clubs. In an old story of a long-running war between 2 kingdoms, the kings agreed to a peaceful exchange. Each agreed to send his son to live with the family of his enemy, to be cared for in the other kingdom as if he were the son of that family. Each put his faith in the other to care for his son, and committed in return to care for the other's son as if he were his own. These sons also came to understand and became attached to the new kingdom, making it impossible from then on for either of them to raise war against the other. And I'll give you one example of how I was able to see that through my year. Rotary had exchanged for a trip. It was 50 exchange students in the Amazon rainforest for 2 weeks. And on the way back, I was sitting on the bus next to a girl from Germany. And she said to me, Tabatha, after meeting you and the other 4 American exchange students on this trip, prior to that, I had a really bad stereotype of Americans. I thought that they were all fat, ignorant, loud, obnoxious, dumb. And, she kind of went on and on. But she did say, after meeting you guys, you really changed my perspective, because that's not what all of you are. And so I think there's great impact with the program, really in changing stereotypes. Another reason for, Rotary to be involved in this, and it is a Rotary program, but one of the benefits of it is membership. When you think about getting people involved in Rotary, I say the best way to do it is to change somebody's life. When we think about youth services through Interact or RILO, when we're providing opportunities for young people, this is a high school student who's going abroad. They're learning another language. It's a wonderful experience for someone to come back and get involved in service and be excited about Rotary. And not only for that student, but I'll tell you, our student Lucia is abroad in Brazil right now. Her mom just joined the Shalik Rotary Club, and she's so excited about the opportunity that Rotary provided for her daughter. And so you think about the magnitude of it. You have the student going abroad, their parents, the inbound student, they have 3 families. That's about 10 people that are all affected through this program. And so really my ask to the club is to advertise it to the local high school so that students at Cherokee High School are aware the program exists. I say the best way to do that would be through language teachers. Usually those are the kids who are interested in culture and language study. And I recommend marketing it to the high schools as a scholarship, right? Because these outbound students, they're receiving waived accommodation, tuition, meals, and they're also receiving a stipend abroad of the equivalent of $100 a month. And it just takes one student to start. Once we have one outbound and one inbound, everyone in the high school is going to know about it. They're going to be posting about it on social media, so it really gets the ball rolling that way. Logistically, for our students who are interested in this, the cost, it's around $4,000 for the whole year. I work at a private school, and we do a 2-week trip to Ireland at the end of the year, and that's about $4,000. Also, it comes out to $11 a day. And this is minimum, right? So they're paying for their flight there and back. That's around $2,000. They have a really comprehensive health insurance. That's about $1,000. And then they're also charged a district fee, the $650, that pays for them to go to the district conference and also RILA. And then another question I always get asked a lot is who can be a host family? So host families, they can be Rotarians, they can be non-Rotarians, maybe an older couple who has an extra room, their kids are off at college, or even families with a lot of young kids. I'll tell you, Mark is the district chair in North Jersey. He grew up with his parents hosting exchange students. So he always says he has brothers and sisters all over the world that he's gone to visit, and he went abroad as well, and his kids. So I think for young kids, it's really cool. They love having that extra person in the house, and it's great exposure to them too, to learn about other cultures. Yeah.
Like a qualification for the families who are hosting the students?
Yeah, so in order to host the requirements, they need their own bed. So, they can share the room with someone of the same sex, or they can have their own room. That's pretty much it. They need a place to study, could be the kitchen table. On a committee level, we do an interview with the family. They submit an application, background checks, 3 references, and we provide a training to the families too, so that, they know what to expect. And it's a 3-month commitment. So typically the first family, they host September to about January, the new year, and then the second, January to March, and then April to June. Yeah. And I will say, I just had recently done an interview with a host family who has hosted 9 students over the years, and I asked them if they could describe their experience in one word, what would they say? And they said family. They said they had 1 daughter, and they wanted more kids, and it was a great way to really open their home, and they have children who've come back to visit that they still keep in contact with. Jack and Claudia Kammer, Claudia helps out with RILA. They've hosted 14 exchange students over the years, and they always say they wouldn't have done it that many times if it wasn't a rewarding experience. And I just have a fun story I like to share. Yuna, she's our student from Thailand who was here last year. My fiance and I took her to Lancaster for the weekend, and we still laugh every single time we go by the Halloween store, because she was just so amazed and in awe at everything there. And it was the first time driving in the car that she had ever smelled skunk. And she thought it was my fiance. So we still laugh about that. But even as Rotarians, it's really cool. If you work with this for a couple years and you have a lot of inbounds and outbound students, I'll tell you, Chip, he's a friend of mine in Delaware who helps out with Youth Exchange. He currently is on a trip visiting exchange students that his club has hosted and that he's hosted in his home. And he is doing a long trip to Iceland, England, Romania, Hungary, Morocco, Austria, and ending it with the Rotary Peace Conference in Turkey. So it's a really cool way to get involved in travel. So I'll say that's my spiel. If anyone has any questions or curiosities.
Yeah, if you guys have any questions, I'm going to come around with the mic. But I will say, just to piggyback on what Tabatha said, me and my wife hosted an exchange student. It wasn't through Rotary Youth Exchange. I had just become involved in Rotary when we took on our exchange student. We don't have any kids, but it was an amazing experience just to learn another culture. And she had a big effect on our lives. We still talk to her and about her all the time. And it was very rewarding. So for us, she was with us for 6 months. It was half a year of school. And that was what the program was set for. And with Rotary Youth Exchange, is it always a year? Are there one semester options?
So it's always a year, but it depends with hosting. The students can have 1 to 3 families. So we try to give them 3 so they get exposure to different, every family lives different, cooks different. So.
Okay, I have a couple questions. Number one, is it like a certain grade of student that goes? Can it be a freshman? Does it have to be a rising senior? And then who gives the $100? Is it the host family or is it the Rotary Club that they're, a part of?
That's a good
who's
question.
Doing that? And then do you go to an American school there or no, you're learning the language? Or do you have to have some background in the language?
Well, I'll start with the high school. So for our students going abroad, they're going to the local high school. They're living with a local family. They're learning the language of that family. We train them for 6 months before they leave to only speak in that language. So there's a big learning curve. When I was in school, I was translating books until I understood what they were saying in class. But they do learn it, and our students do come back fluent. The other question was with the stipend. So that's provided through the Rotary Club. So if you think about it, the cost is $1,000 for that inbound, and the outbound, there's no cost to the club. So, I would consider it like a high school scholarship, right, that the students get. And then your first question.
How old are the kids?
Yeah, so
What year?
they can participate starting as a sophomore. So I always say if we could advertise it to 9th grade students, they could start thinking about it. The application process starts a year in advance. So if they're a 9th grader, they'd have to already apply that November to go abroad sophomore year. And then some Rotary clubs like to advertise to the middle schools for that reason. But so they can do it grade 9 through 12. And I even found out about it at RILA. So I was a rising senior. So I had applied the November of my senior year, and I actually went post-grad. So I did a gap year. I graduated here, I went back to high school in Brazil, and then when I came back, I went to college. So the only thing with that is the students have to know that they're going back to high school for a year and need to study and attend school there. But there's also limited countries. So they might have 10 countries to choose from as opposed to 40 if they did post-grad.
So in some countries, the curriculum may be different, right? So say, for example, somebody goes from 10th grade or 11th grade here to Brazil or to India or something. They may be teaching a totally different curriculum than what they teach here. So how would do they have to do an extra year in the high school here if they go to the abroad?
So it totally depends on the school. We found a lot of our schools in the United States have been very accepting. Usually they call it like an option 2 program. So a lot of times what the schools will do, all the classes that they take abroad, they'll count them as credit, pass or fail. And then usually the classes students need to make up are English. So they might double up on an English class or take it at a community college or over the summer. And believe it or not, gym. But schools do have the option to count, if they do a sport abroad, they can count that as an option 2 for credit. So our students, really have been able to graduate on time. If they're at a technical school that might not be willing to accept those credits, it might look different. But we have a couple inbound students who actually, when they go back to their countries, they have to repeat a year. But they do it because of the opportunity. And,
I understand.
yeah.
My question is, assuming that it's for Cherokee High School, is there an ideal, I guess, perimeter that you would look for a host family, like within 20 minutes or, however that would work? Or is it somebody that has to be in the school district so that they can get bused to the school and things like that? Is there a standard for that?
So they would have to be in the school district so that, because they would be entering the school as like a local student. They're not an out of district who would pay tuition. So anywhere within the zip code of the high school is fine.
And you negotiate with all of, like, whatever person wanted to be a host, you guys work it out with the district to make it happen, as long as they have slots available for exchange students?
Yeah, so if anyone's interested in hosting, and we're always looking for host families, this is my email on here, it would go to me, but just have them send me an email and I can send them the application to fill out. Also on our district website, we have our tab updated for Rotary Youth Exchange, so you can find that link on there too.
So if somebody comes here, say for example, to attend the Cherokee High School, right? And the host family is in this area, means in the district, does student have to be pre-qualified to get to that high school? Like any requirements that they need to satisfy to go to the high school? Like for example, somebody is in other country, they may not be at that level to come here at the 10th grade or 11th grade, right? So is there like a qualification or anything that you have to do?
So we'll send the schools their full application. So when we get the inbounds application, it has their transcript from abroad with their grades. So that could help schools place like where they want to put them. Sometimes schools have flexibility what grade they want to put the student in, and that could just be a conversation, where they want to place them. But I'll tell you, I work at a private school, and we had 2 inbounds. We waived tuition for them. And usually we have an application process where we interview the students, but we waived that for the exchange student because we knew it just wouldn't be feasible. Yeah.
You mentioned that you went through the RILA program, and I just wanted to ask you, and you mentioned that you were out of your comfort zone. You went out of your way to engage with students in Brazil when you were there. How much did the RILA program help you to get out of that shell and get out of your comfort zone to do that when you're on your exchange program?
Yeah, I would say tremendously. At RILA, they have phenomenal speakers that come and talk. And I remember one of the speakers just talked about sparking up conversation with random people and how to kind of network. And that was really helpful. And then also at RILA, you really do that in practice because you're there with a bunch of kids you don't really know, and you kind of just go around and meet people, and everyone's really friendly. So I think it's a good confidence booster for our students.
Are there any concerns of taking on an exchange student if someone's thinking about it? Maybe the kids don't like the food, maybe how do you deal with issues when it comes to this?
Yeah. So on a committee level, when we have the inbound students, we do a weekend orientation with them where, we're talking about different topics like how to be adaptable, what to do if you have issues with your host family. So they are teenagers, right? And it is likely, as you would with your own daughter or son, that there may be conflicts, and we expect those things. And so we always say to the host families, treat the student like your daughter or son. If you have the same, if there's a curfew for your daughter, also give that to the exchange student. But we do have, through the Rotary Club, if you do have an inbound, let's say next year or the year after, one person in the club would be identified as the student's counselor. So anyone can volunteer to do that. The only thing is you're not allowed to host the student. So every single month, minimum, you would check in with the student, ask how it's going with the host family, with school, with learning the language, and you'd be like the person they go to if they need anything. So if they are having issues with the host family, the student could go to the counselor and say, hey, I'm having this problem. And usually the counselor can help them work it out. Sometimes it's a cultural difference. Our student from Finland this year, her host mom was confused. Why is she coming home? She doesn't ask how our day is or how we're doing. We're feeling like she's not being very appreciative. And, Mila said, well, I'm from Finland and I don't ask anybody how their day is. We don't do small talk. So it wasn't because she was being rude. It was just a difference. So a lot of times the counselor is somebody who can help navigate those things. And then on a district level, there's a team of about 10 of us who are available for extra support.
And I don't imagine normal issues. I'm sliding in like Collinsworth here on Sunday Night Football. There can be issues just in like getting acclimated to the culture, and it does take time, right? Like sometimes like they need to become more comfortable over a period of weeks. Some could be more homesick than others, but do you find that a lot of the kids come around and ultimately enjoy their visits? Like, you're not sending kids aren't going home in the middle of the thing all the time.
Yeah, and for the kids too, they have, when they first get here, it's the honeymoon phase, right? The first 3 months, and then around Christmas time, not always, but a lot of times that's when they're most homesick. And, we tell our host families, if you notice they're in their room shutting their door and not coming out, that's a sign we need to drag them out to do some more things. And then usually by the end of the year, they don't want to go home. And so, they're so adapted that they want to stay.
It's like summer camp.
Yeah. Yep. But it's an adjustment. Each family that they move to lives differently. They have different rules. So that's something that, we coach the student through the process as well.
So one other thing, you want us to help with this program, promote it with the high school. You've suggested going to the language arts teachers, possibly the guidance counselors as well. Can we share these brochures with them and say, hey, here's our Rotary Youth Exchange for hosting or sending a student abroad? Is that something you would recommend that we do?
Yeah, absolutely. And so these flyers here, this one's specific for Rotary clubs with all the nitty-gritty details, and this one is for host families. But I also have a digital PDF that's specific for students, so I can share that with you.
Yes, please.
And then it could be just emailed over in a digital file.
Because I would love to share that with the high school, just to get them on board, see
Yep.
if they can participate.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and if you need help at all with, if they need an extra person to talk to, feel free.
Great, thank you.
So.
If Tabatha's about wrapped up, does anyone have any final questions, or should we let her eat? I think we may be good. That was fantastic, by the way. Great job with that. A lot of great information. Give her a round of applause. Behind the Wheel, the goal of our program doing these types of videos, and this is the first one we've done with a meeting, but we've done a number of interviews on the channel. If you check out our YouTube channel, it's to educate the broader public in what we do in Rotary. A lot of people don't even know what Rotary is. So the idea that we have exchange programs like this, all the charity work, the service above self, which is our motto, that's what we're trying to get across in these videos. And I hope that it comes across in this one. Tabatha, thanks again for being here. And for tonight, this has been Behind the Wheel.